Hey, first of all, it's coming up at the top of the hour. How do Iranian Americans feel about the U.S. agreement with Iran? Well, two Iranian Americans with different political views, but both supportive of the war, will join us, including the founder of a group called Iranians for Trump. Plus, the story of one-year-old Cohen Wiley. His community in Mississippi is demanding answers after he was shot and killed by an officer responding to a shoplifting call. Cohen's mother is speaking out, and her attorney is with us live. And later on this Father's Day weekend, I'm going to speak to the man behind a new children's album celebrating boyhood and what it takes to raise thriving black boys. Those stories and conversations you will not see anywhere else, coming up after a short break on First of All. First of all, what happened to the help on its way to the Iranian people? Let me start with you and something you posted on social media. At the start of the war, this was March 2nd, you posted Republicans on the issue of policy toward Iran. Let me play part of that conversation.
One side of the aisle was very, ready to confront the threat that is the regime in Iran. And one side of the aisle was still clinging to the hope of the failed JCPOA, negotiations with the regime, and advocating for things like, no sanctions.
Okay, so now that latter portion that you're talking about in that conversation was the Democratic Party, but now President Trump is negotiating, or at least trying to negotiate, we'll see who shows up in Switzerland, with Iranians. And point 7 of the agreement is the United States of America undertakes to terminate all types of sanctions against the Islamic Republic of Iran, including United Nations Security Council resolution. I mean, you advocated for sanctions against Iran. Here's your criticism of your own party.
A word of advice to the Democrats. You are literally making it impossible for me to stay in your crew. Very difficult, and I'll tell you why. You're acting like you don't understand how we got here. We got here because of Jimmy Carter. We got here because of the JCPOA, which gave this regime $100 billion, allowed for them to enrich. We got here because Biden gave them tens of billions of dollars.
Thank you both for the conversation. The first city to issue reparations to black people in the U.S. is facing a legal challenge from the Trump administration. We'll speak with a woman who helped create the groundbreaking program about what happens to the fight for reparations nationwide now. Plus, what we know about the death of one-year-old Cohen Wiley, shot and killed by police in Mississippi. Well, what timing for this headline, the week of Juneteenth? The Trump administration wants to stop the first reparations program for black people in the U.S. The program in Evanston, Illinois, was set up to provide qualifying residents with cash payments and housing assistance. If the resident lived in the city between 1919 and 1969, they and their direct descendants can apply for up to $25,000. The Justice Department says the city has paid out the citizenry and establishes the very hierarchy in the 50s. Are they eligible for the money? Do they have to prove that their grandmother was specifically impacted by any of the policies that fall within this reparations program? All right, this morning, there are calls for justice and basic answers about why police who responded to a shoplifting report fired into a car and killed a baby. One-year-old Cohen Wiley's mom is speaking out, and one of her attorneys is here with us. That's next. This is one-year-old Cohen Wiley. His grandmother tells the Associated Press the Senatobia Police Department said in a statement, preliminary reports indicate that officers responded to a report of shoplifting. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you back here next Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern. Smirkanish is up next.